SpineDAO, a DAO that has recently sort of started raising via the Bio Protocol platform.
We deep dived in literature review, data collection, and we created spine research community. And we built a data set on spine patient. We were able to build like a 300K patient data set.
So I started to do research with Frank Schwab, who is a deformity spine surgeon.
So I think historically that a lot of the DAOs that we've seen, such as DAO, which deals with like longevity, DAO, women's health, that I don't think many people think about spine issues until they maybe experience one.
In spine surgery, you have like 20 and 30% complication rate. You have adult spine deformity. So Virginie is dealing with adult spine deformity, and the treatment management, surgical management of this disease is super aggressive surgery.
How you're thinking about building a community around spine surgery and spine research. Hello and welcome to the DeSci podcast, Vincent and Virginie. For those of you who are listening, Vincent and Virginie are the part of the founding team of SpineDAO, a DAO that has recently sort of started raising via the Bio Protocol platform. I met Vincent and Virginie at DeSci London. I'd heard many positive things about them from my colleagues. And I sat down with them at the molecule dinner and got to hear a little bit about their story, about how they met, and how they started building what they were building. So we invited them onto the DeSci podcast. So all of you can hear a little bit more. But yeah, it would be great if you guys could introduce yourself. Vincent, you could start.
Thank you so much, and thank you for hosting us for DeSci podcast. Yeah, there is a lot of things going on, and we are super honored to be here. So basically, we met with Virginie like more than 10 years ago. It's been 12 years, Tata. It's crazy. Yep. And I was this young resident in orthopedic surgery, and I was looking for a research fellowship, and I have the honor and the luck to meet Virginie in New York City. So at this time, she was running a spine lab, like a total TradSci spine lab, with like I don't know, like maybe 60 or 70 abstract a year, and like 20 research fellow, and it basically changed my life because I didn't know nothing about research, and we deep dived in all this literature review, but also data collection, using at this time in spine surgery there was this correlation between radiogeometry, like radiographic parameter, and health-related quality of life score. And I spent a year with Basel, one of the core team member of SpineDAO, and like 20 other teammates. And basically, that's when I like got in touch with science. So it was 12 years ago, and then in 2020, I met two other incredible guys like Joseph and Guillaume, and we created Spine Research Community, a French spine surgeon community, and we built a data set on spine patient, and we were able to build like a 300K patient data set, and we started to do some predictive model, and we were like, how can we build bridges between our French spine surgeon community, but also like all the other spine surgeons around the world, and especially our friends from US. And in 2021, I guess I got the red pill of crypto. So I entered crypto. I took a wallet. I put like, I don't know, 10K or something like this. I lost 90% of my wallet because I just bought the top. But I enjoy this time because I used to learn about blockchain technology, and then I met learned about molecule and all the molecule stuff and IP NFT. So yeah, 2023, 2024, I was like deep diving in it, and then I had this idea how to scale spine research community worldwide. Let's try to build a blockchain community with crypto, and then the rest is history. I met James and Paul in San Francisco in SciCon with Virginie. So like the first speech I did with Virginie was totally nervous. And then the day after a night of like boiling with my brain, I managed to convince them to onboard us in Bio Protocol, and there we are.
Amazing. Yeah, one of the things I remember you telling me about this story when we met was that Virginie woke up in the middle of the night with you standing over her, and you're going, I think I've come up with it. I think I fixed it." And then you went into your second meeting and managed to convince the bio team. You almost gave her a heart attack. Virginie, I'd love to know a little bit more about you.
So before meeting Vincent, I did all my training in France. I'm a mechanical engineer with a PhD in biomechanics, so no formal clinical background. Then I moved to the US, I think in 2005. At the beginning, it was just for a few months, and I never left. So I started to do research with Frank Schwab, who is a deformity spine surgeon, and I'm still working with him today. At the beginning was in a tiny lab in Brooklyn, where we're doing some project on scoliosis and some surgery on pigs, so like a lot of fun. Then we moved to NYU, where we slowly created like a team of med student, resident, engineer, and visitor from all over the world. So that's when Vincent came to spend a year with us. And funny part, the same year I had Vincent, Basel, who is another core member, and Bart. So Bart is a pain management doctor now. So we spent a few years at NYU, where we grew our research. We also launched a software, which was like a medical device, according to the FDA, to plan spine procedure. So it was kind of like a widely used all over the world. Then I started also, we were still with Frank Schwab, to be part of a multi-center study group. So it's a foundation in the US with 30 hospitals, and we're still working with it. I think so far the foundation have 400 publications all on spine. And so slowly by slowly, we created our name and our research infrastructure, and still got involved with some startup. And then at one point, Vincent started to tell me about DeSci, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And so I brushed him away a few times, more than once. And then he dragged me to San Francisco, and I'm like, this sounds totally crazy. And so slowly I was like, okay, let's give it a try. I start to read about it, to watch some YouTube video, and I'm like, well, this sounds very refreshing. To do something new, and not necessarily new in the sense let's totally switch gear. It's still the same objective, in line with whatever I'm still doing in traditional science. But what is new is the mode of collaboration and the objective. So the objective is not just to produce academic knowledge, but really to implement this knowledge. And at one point, after spending 20 years writing manuscript and traveling the world to go to some conference, you're like, okay, did I really have an impact? And if not, or maybe not to the extent that you were hoping, at the beginning you have big dream, say is there a different mechanism where I can speed up the impact and get real-time feedback? So that's why I gave him a chance.
So you get Virginie's red pill.
Yeah, basically you convinced her, Vincent. I'm impressed. I love the duality of the two of you, Virginie, you being a little bit more skeptical, and Vincent sort of going in guns blazing. I think it's a good balance to have. I'm really interested in this topic of a spine DAO, because I think historically that a lot of the DAOs that we've seen, such as Vita DAO, which deals with longevity, Athena DAO, women's health, they are quite, I think, broad topics that can apply to a lot of people. And I suppose at the end of the day, everyone does have a spine, but I would be interested. I don't think many people think about spine issues until they maybe experience one. and then it becomes a huge part of their life. So yeah, I wanted to ask you guys about how you're thinking about like building a community around spine surgery and spine research.
Yeah. So basically, human bonds are at the core of SpineDAO because I mean you cannot make science and good science in spine care without having a trust between people. So you need to know that a spine surgeon is kind of alone in his operating room and is alone with the patient, and he's also alone when failure and complications occur. So one number is we can speak about that. Like in spine surgery, on average, you have like maybe between 20 and 30% complication rate. So you have adult spine deformity. So Virginie is dealing with adult spine deformity. It's adult scoliosis, and the treatment management, surgical management of this disease is super aggressive surgery. So you break the spine to correct the spine, and then you put screws and rods in order to fix the spine to the pelvis. And this kind of surgeries that are most aggressive surgery in spine care, it's like, I don't know, Virginie, tell me, it's like 50, up to 70% complication rate and up to 30% revision rate at 2 years. It's like
Wow.
super aggressive surgery.
Yeah, but if I just may add something, because like when you present it like this, it seems like, we're just barbaric. The patient really benefit from the surgery, despite like the revision, despite the complication. Like there is like several clinical trials that say like, okay, non-operative treatment versus those aggressive surgery, and the surgery win. So I don't want like people like to get like the feeling,
Terrified.
like what are they doing?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean,
Sorry, I was just speaking like from the surgeon perspective, because having this kind of complication rate and revision rate make you feel like sometimes quite bad about this, because yeah, like most of the time patients are super well, they are super happy after surgery, but from time to time you can have neurologic impairment, and this kind of complication is a burden for the surgeon. So basically, this is the starting point of spine research community, is to say, yes, our generation of surgeons need to speak about complication rate, and we need to be together and to have like a comfortable environment with trust to deal with this kind of thing. So at the beginning, it was human bonds, and with these human bonds, you can speak about your complication, you can share your data as a surgeon, and let's say it's not a competition. We are not like saying this surgeon is the best or this surgeon is the best. It's all about humility. And starting with this, so you can build the data set, and then you can build predictive model. So yes, the starting point is human bonds for sure.
Yeah, and we basically experienced like the same. So as I mentioned, like I'm part of this study group. It's called like a International Spine Study, ISAG, International Spine Study Group. And I was like, do you miss a letter? And like it's a pretty big group, like 30 sites, like 70 surgeons, something like that. And it's quite involved. Like we meet like 4 times a year, like always like in person. But we are very close to each other. Very close to each other, because also like when you think about it from a clinician point of view, they don't have to do research. They don't have like to fly away from their family and their practice and crunch number and brainstorm and write paper. They are clinicians. The only thing they have to do is like to take care of patient. So the fact that they're willing like to invest time and money on doing research, it really shows that they are committed. So if you can like torture them like with some stat and writing and data entry, it has to be in a pleasant environment. So you need, the number one is like you need to get along. And that's why like once you have the group and you bring people like on board, then it's just fun.
And why like going back to your question, like why SpineDAO? maybe because there is some bottleneck in spine science. And when you talk about data and publishing, I do believe that it's part that can explain why Virginie dived into DeSci. And because like data are siloed. Can you develop on that, Virginie?
Yeah, now if you take like the not like the study group that I mentioned, but if you take like the classic institution where I have been, like there's always a fight about like who owns the data and who has access to the data. Is that the physician? Is it the hospital? Is that like, well, I've done research, like I create an RB, like so there is like this fight, like, and then there is like the fact that we make strong difference, strong silo between like what we do in clinic, what we do in research, and then like if we want to collaborate with another site, it takes a few months to have an agreement. If you want to collaborate with a startup, it's like very, very challenging. Again, like the data being at the core. So then you spend some time like trying to find some mechanism just in order like to be able to collaborate. And then like the data is all over the place. Like some of them are in the EMR, some of them are in the procurement system, some of them are in the billing system or on the floor. And so from an energy point of view, you're like, am I really being effective? Like spending my time like compiling all the source of data and then asking for permission to do a good job with it. And that's come with some level of frustration. I mean, for everybody, like all the players, not just research. And so that's why, like maybe like DeSci could allow us to be more flexible.
Sure.
That doesn't mean like to be careless, but to instead of having everything going through one institution, like maybe we go directly to the clinician and directly to the patient, because really like the patient is going to be like is at the core or should be at the core.
Absolutely, and we do believe that blockchain and blockchain technology allows a lot of things that can solve our problem. I mean, for example, transparency. Like imagine a system where the data, not the raw data are on the blockchain, but all the action on the data could be stored in the blockchain. And so you can imagine a system where researcher, practitioner, and patient, they through the blockchain, they can share data, they can labelize data, and they can also build some strong product for patient good with transparency, immutability, and incentive. And these characteristic of blockchain make the blockchain the real guardian of AI, because when it comes to patient data protection, you can say, okay, all the data are encrypted, and also we can build a brand new smart consent form system for the patient to say, well, you can use my data, yes, no. Well, if you can use it, who can use it? Industry, researcher, practitioner, and at what extent, what kind of data, and can I just move out of the system? The blockchain technology can allow that, and for us, it's a total revolution.
Yeah, Virginie.
Yeah, so nice thing, like once you have like full traceability on the action that happen on the data, then you really can expand on your network of expertise, because that's another like a limitation right now. Like at least from the clinical research point of view, like we have like the team, the clinician, statistician, this kind of stuff. But what if we need an expertise that not outside expertise? Let's say like we need like a AI expert for some deep learning, or we need a team that is like super good in mechanical modeling and digital twin. It's very difficult to do that within our institution because they are external by definition. But if you have a parallel system where you can monitor who is doing what with the data, then I'm not going to say like there is no limit, but at least the limit is like much further, because that's something like sometimes that we're lacking. You know, if we want to improve like spine care and this kind of thing, like we need new expert on the data. We need new expert. Like we've been doing like a lot of work on patient-reported.com and overall like imaging. But what about like bringing an expert in soft tissue analysis, like to evaluate like the senescence, like to what about bringing on some expert on inflammatory marker? Like that's where we need to expand. If not, we're just going to repeat like the same analysis like over and over, because that's the only thing we need to do.
And that's true, building bridges, like to onboard other specialists of specialty with crypto incentive. It's also one of the paradigm shift. I was thinking about for what research also, because we have other research teams that are telling me like, yeah, I think we are going on a circle. We are doing like the same research, and the research of SpineDAO is quite different from like we are not doing for the moment, but we are not doing like robotics or stem cells or DNA, genetics, etc. So we started from scratch, asking ourselves, what are the inefficiencies of our art? What are the inefficiencies of spine care? And the first inefficiency of spine care, it begins when the patient takes the appointment. I mean, there is no solution to discriminate a surgical patient from a non-surgical patient when it comes for a surgical appointment. So the result is, as a spine surgeon, I'm seeing every week 100 patients in my office, and I'm doing surgery on like between 8 and 10, depends if I'm on call or not. So it's a huge burden for the patient first, because he has to wait for 3 months going in my office, and because 90% of the patient in my office are non-surgical,
And you have to send them home.
I'm like, I cannot help you. I can
Oh,
explain
that must be
this.
so agonizing for them, waiting and then getting there and not having solutions presented.
Yeah, because putting screws, decompressing nerve, having a surgery will not solve their problem. So it's a huge burden for them, and I have to refer them to a pain manager. I have to refer them, so they lost so much time, and it's also a burden for me as a surgeon, because I only do my job in 10% of the case. I only
Yes.
do the job that I was taught in 10% of the case. And it's also a burden for the taxpayer, because they are paying for inappropriate care. So everybody is losing at this game, and that's why we began our first research project named Filter. Is to develop a solution when the patient takes the appointment to gather some data from the patient, and this data is solidly protected with a consent form, etc. And then this data is going to a predictive model that can calculate the probability from this data to have a surgery within a year. And then the predictive model, if he said, well, this patient has like 70 to 80% to have a surgery within a year, so it goes to a smart appointment agent bot that fill the surgeon agenda from this probability. So high probability, let's fill the agenda quite quickly, like within 5 to 10 days. Low probability, let's propose another agenda for a medical doctor, for a chiropractor, for a physio that could fit the patient need. And if the patient wants to see the surgeon, no problem. It won't be in 5 days, but it will be in 2 to 3 months. So with this kind of solution, we can maybe pass from 10% of surgical conversion, like I see 90% of my patients are not surgical candidates, so I do surgery on 10% of my patients. If we can pass from 10% to 20% surgical conversion, it's a total game changer. Because I go from 100 patients per week and 10 patients in the OR to like 50 patients a week and like 10 to 15. So it's a total game changer for the surgeon, and it's a total game changer for the patient because they have appropriate care at appropriate time.
Amazing. Yeah. I think it's so important that the people building solutions are the ones that are sort of really hands-on on the problem and have experienced it. Because they are the ones best equipped to, understand what's going to work and what's not going to work. I think also what I did want to raise as well, which I do find really interesting, is I've had a lot of conversations about decentralized science with a bunch of different people. And I think that like in the decentralized science space, there are a couple of different verticals. And funding is definitely the biggest one of them. I mean, like with our work at Molecule as well, it's a lot about funding science and building those sort of rails. But what I really enjoy about the way you guys are thinking about things is that you're like, okay, let's actually, aside from just like a novel funding source or a novel way of building community, it's like, what does the actual like blockchain technology meaningfully enable, like at a much deeper level and a much more sort of like truly, I think, decentralized science ethos, which I really admire from both of you.
Thank you. And also blockchain fits the need of every people in the DAO, because you have patient, practitioner, and researcher, and they can benefit all from blockchain technology. Like a patient can share his data, having a medical advice, and going to the appropriate care at the appropriate time, but also be part of the Spine Club, like to having rewards in Spine token, not to make a living out of it. Like we want to be clear about that. We don't want people and patients to sell their data to make a living out of that. No, we want to improve spine care. But imagine a patient that can share his clinical vignette with, for example, his demographic data, pain, painkiller consumption, disability score, but also like an MRI report or MRI images. So it generates a vignette that could be labelized by specialists to say, where is the pain generator? Is this patient an appropriate surgical candidate? Yes, no. And if he's an appropriate surgical candidate, what kind of surgery I could propose? And then this metadata, this labelized data, could fuel predictive models super accurately in order to give appropriate care at appropriate time. And I also think about the 90% of the non-surgical patient, because you need to give them a solution. So we want to labelize this patient by pain manager, chiropractor, physiotherapist, in order to provide appropriate non-surgical care for them.
I would say, like, another aspect of like the DAO advantage is that people will have a voice. People have a voice, because that's easy to. If I go back to trad science, like just to do your own research and you're super happy about it and you keep going and basically to maybe sometimes like lose track of like the relevant question. Mm-hmm. So if you have like this ecosystem where, okay, you have your researcher within the field, you have like some super level expert that will have never worked on spine, but maybe AI, this kind of stuff. You have like a patient, you have industry and payer. Maybe once in a while it's going to redirect where DAO is going. Like we obviously going to start by a few questions that we identify, but maybe the patient may have a totally different set of questions, and this will like basically like put us back in a reality.
Yes.
Because there is not necessarily like very often like this open dialogue. Like if you look at like with patients, like in the hospital, like we ask them like, okay, I'm going to be part of this study. Yes, sign the consent form. We're going to collect data. Call you back for follow-up, but they don't necessarily get a lot in exchange. Except like they're satisfied with being part of the research, but we never go back to the patient and say like, oh, by the way, like this is the result. Like it's almost like a one-way transaction. And some apply with industry, like the collaboration. Most of the time is either the industries they want to do, let's say, a randomized clinical trial, and they reach out to the institution, and we kind of like almost provide a service. No, we don't have any input on the design of the study or not nearly on the stat. Or the other way around, like we, as a researcher, want to do a study, Then we ask industry or foundations, say like, can you please fund the study? So it's almost like you have all those different elements that are talking to each other once in a while, but are not necessarily together like to with a common objective.
Yeah, and you need something that's going to tie them all together, and that could be a DAO.
Absolutely.
Everything goes well.
Like with all the technology that we have in 2025, like having all this social media, social network, etc., it's time to gather the speech of the patient, like and also the testimony, the emotional component of pain and disability, and like empowering this patient, saying, well, we want to do some podcast with patients speaking about the burden of pain. We want to make them involved in some manifestation. We want to put them at the center of our idea. Is quite new in my opinion.
Yeah, interesting. I think also, I mean, so something else I remember from our conversation that we had in London was, and it was something that I'd never really considered, but that the network of spine surgeon and spine experts in the world is actually quite small and kind of quite linked, and that you guys sort of all connect and meet up, and that you'd been able to take this idea of SpineDAO and share it with, you know, your fellow spine heads. What was their reception to SpineDAO?
They were totally stuck.
Well, I think like, you know, the honest answer, like we do have like, I would say like 3 different like attitude. Like the first group is like they're like 100% like supportive. Like they say Vincent taught them like what was a wallet, how to open a wallet. Like they participate in the curation, they participate in the auction. They are super active in our Telegram, WhatsApp, Discord, like
all the bits and bobs. Yeah.
So you have like the core member, like they were not necessarily Web3 expert, like quite naive, and they're like, well, that sounds like super interesting. Let's go for it. Then you have a second group that is like, I'm watching that. Like it's like, you know, I don't have a strong opinion. Yes, you know, they seems to have something, but let's wait and see. And then there is probably a third group that we don't necessarily interact like on a daily basis, that are like probably like, what are they doing?
Or saying like, yeah, another Challier ID, like.
There goes Vincent again.
But I would say like it does generate a lot of question and curiosity.
Yeah, and I think that speaks for itself as well. I think it's a lovely thing when you're able to bring an idea to people that it's so fresh and so novel to them that they just are like really inquisitive about like how does it actually work in practice.
I would say like so far probably like 90 to 95% of whatever we rose in curation and in auction come from our clinical network.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's really, really amazing.
Yeah, and onboarding people like non crypto people in this game is one of the goal of SpineDAO. Saying like, hey, you're a spine surgeon. What about some incentive? Hey, you're a pain manager. What about? But also institution. I mean, next week I'm going to the French Academy of Surgery. So it's a very old academy. I guess it's like 1731, the year of creation. And we are building this project called Chronos. So what we want to do, we want to digitize the hidden, undigitized spine science all over the world. So it's part of our bio hackathon candidacy, because we are competing for the bio hackathon. And we have this idea from the Nobel Prize 2015 Medicine Nobel Prize. So it's a Chinese pharmacologist, a woman named Tu Yuyu, that manually went back to super old ancestral medical traditional Chinese therapeutics manuscript, and then she went to these old manuscripts and she discovered anti-pyretic, anti-fever plant, Jihang. And from this plant, she isolated adremycin, which is one of the most powerful anti-malaria compound. So, like, imagine going to the French Academy, digitizing their old treaty of spinal cord disease, using our AI agent fleet to do the embedding, to do the OCR first, optical characterization recognition, and then to do the embedding and to create scientific hypothesis. So basically, we did one with 1821 spinal cord disease treaty in French, and the AI agents were like, well, in this observational case, it could there could be an hypothesis saying that inflammatory receptor could be quite of the similar in gut and in spinal cord. So let's drive some study on that, and then we can think about like all these people from all over the world that have some treaty and that have some manuscript of spine care. Let's take picture of that. Let's digitize it and let's drive new research and win the Nobel Prize with that.
Yeah, but I think this is a good example where basically we demonstrate a use case of the DAO and brought this very old and classic foundation to work with us. And that's where we need to put probably more effort, to demonstrate some use case, because all the advantage of the DAO and the blockchain are also barrier to adoption. You can say okay, blockchain is fantastic and DAO is fantastic, but then when you talk about it with people that are super naive to the ecosystem, you kind of sound like a lunatic.
Yes.
And so the advantage are also what our community is struggling, it's almost like a barrier.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, it brings up, I was having a conversation with someone the other day where we were discussing sort of one of the core principles of decentralized science is that it makes science more equitable and accessible. And these are key terms that I think we fall back on a lot when we're talking about the benefits of decentralized science. And they were kind of saying, well, do you not think you've just changed what the barriers are? Maybe it's not that you don't have a university degree, but if you're not, Web3 native, then you also really struggle to interact. And that kind of, it sent me down a bit of a spin or a spiral. But I think, to your point, and I think, so I'm touching on a couple of different points here, but I have watched a lot of DAOs start, through the bio ecosystem and in general. And generally they build an audience that's Web3 native first, and then they start to bring on maybe traditional partners and researchers and that sort of thing. And it's a really hands-on effort to onboard them. And what I do find really interesting about the way you guys have gone about it is you've started out with this really hands-on approach of jumping on a call with someone that you've worked with and being like, okay, this is how you create a wallet, this is how you get involved in the auction, and that sort of thing. I mean, do you have any plans in the future to onboard sort of other new people?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we need to convince institution like the French Academy, but also scientific societies, because it's all about credibility, and science is all about credibility. So we need to go and see our Scoliosis Research Society, or French Spine Academy, North American Spine Society, AO Spine. You have a tons of spine surgery society, but we need to go there and say, hey, let's make something different. And the user experience is kind of a barrier, but I think it's also kind of like when you get a wallet and when you go and struggle with all that kind of code that you have to do, it's also finding something, and this is science journey also. So it's kind of difficult, I know, but because Virginie struggled a lot with that.
I know, Virginie's shaking her head, yes.
I mean, imagine you tell a surgeon okay, download a Phantom, write those I don't know, 12, 24 words, you need to hide them. Don't save them, hide them. And then well, you need to get money, so whatever, connect your credit card to something, and then connect to the bio protocol,
Yes.
and you commit your fund. No, you don't buy spine token. You just commit. And
Yeah.
later you gotta claim them. I mean, this may appear like a scam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I
For
completely understand.
somebody totally native to.
Yeah, I was not. I came into crypto via DeSci. That was my first introduction into making a wallet or anything. I remember actually at my first week on the job at Molecule, one of my tasks was to create a wallet, which is just like absolutely insane when you look back at it now. I'm in the same camp as you, Virginie, in that I think we need to be making things easier if we're really going to onboard a lot of people. I think what is a benefit is I think this is a general consensus within crypto, wider than DeSci, and I know that like there are a lot of mechanisms that are being built to make things easier. I was having someone said to me the other day, they were saying, we were discussing this principle of like only being able to like chains not cross-linking as well. And they were like, well, do you remember when Yahoo came out, the email, and you could only send Yahoo emails to other Yahoo emails and that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden the world changed, and now this idea of ease and access of emails is completely different. So I kind of like to have my fingers crossed that crypto will be like that, and that we're just in this really thorny bit.
And then because your previous question was about like a building community and maybe getting like some scientific society on board. So we got approached by a few of the big scientific society, and it was like actually a few months ago, like almost at the beginning. And what we learned is that we need to tailor our message. Like not everybody need to hear like the same messaging, because not everybody is interested in all the parts. So that was some of the mistake that we did at the beginning. I remember Basel and I, we had a video call with a Scoliosis Research Society. Basically, they schedule a call with us, and they're like, okay, the board wants to know what is SpineDAO. So we prepare our speech, and we talk, and we know them very well. And I think at the end, they were more confused than at the beginning. and that, I mean, we're learning, we are super enthusiastic, and sometimes we're bombarding people with too much information. And so that's a learning process also.
Yeah, but if you find the sweet spot of the people that you are talking to, like for example, French Surgery Academy, they are super interested in put value in their old books, and the guy he took the red pill because he found his own interest, and also the thing is our duty is to build strong products, because tomorrow if we can build a product that guarantees that the surgeon will see a surgical patient in his office, I mean, the surgeon will fight to have this product. And if we say, hey, you need to have a wallet, and it will be, I don't know, in stablecoin or in Spine token, he will take this because it will be a huge game changer for him.
Yeah, that's where we learn our messaging, instead of right away talking about DeSci and blockchain. We're talking about the problem that we want to address, and then the mechanism become secondary.
Yeah.
Yes, I 100% agree. I think that, but that is, I think, the human nature is we are inclined to share problems. If we're standing in the line and we're saying, oh my word, this line for the coffee is taking so long, and you bond over, I think, shared problems. And I think I've seen DeSci bring in a lot of people for overshared problems, but with completely different backgrounds.
Yeah. And I do also believe that the main operator in crypto, they know that they need to vulgarize. They need to go to the people. And when I see all the effort from the Solana Foundation to look more open to people, and Ethereum also, all these guys they don't want to look like weird nerds anymore. I saw some shift in the communication from the big operator, and they because when you go to layer 1, layer 2, stacking, program, DeFi, super complex stuff, you lose the people you're talking to. If you talk about like real world problem, and you can solve real world problem from a trust that is guaranteed by the blockchain technology and a human community, because it's a tool at the end. It's just a tool as the wheel, the CD, etc. But you need to build the trust, and to build the trust, you need to have a like simple, clear, and powerful message.
100%. I could not agree more. I would like to know a little bit. So the Spine auction is currently live on the Bio Launchpad. It closes on what date? Could you remind me?
May 15.
May 15th. Okay, for all of you those listening, it is May 15th. The Spine auction closes. Can I please find out like what are your next plans over at SpineDAO? So you've got this auction, and then what comes next?
So we push all our community to a committed Solana, and now it's the second phase of the auction strategy is to onboard industry. So we are in close contact with the industry, but make a industry, an entity, take a wallet and create a wallet is more difficult than I thought. So now we are reaching. We have close contact with industry, and as private person, there will be some investment. But then now we need to go to patient and also crypto community. That's why April 29th will be a very interesting date, because at the same time Virginie and Basel will be at Solana headquarters. Talking to Rebecca and other big Solana guys, and
Amazing.
also I will be in DeSci Dubai. So I have the honor and the pleasure to participate to the panel on the afternoon, and on the morning I already have like 2 to 3 appointments with a surgeon from Dubai to onboard them and say let's join the Spine Club, and also one industry and distributor there. So it will be. It's like a marathon. I mean, I'm not afraid to fill this auction. The thing is, we need to do like proper thing at proper time. There is no rush, no stress, and we know also that Bio Protocol got our back. So we are super chill, super relaxed.
Amazing. I wanted to know. I think you guys are the first DAO to raise on Solana. Is that correct?
No, Curtopia was the first.
Curtopia. I am wrong. Thank you.
We
Why
are
did you
the
decide
first
this?
one with a curation phase?
Yeah.
Okay. Why? What was your reasoning for choosing Solana? Or Vincent, are you just a Solana maxi?
No, I'm not a Solana maxi, but I became a Solana maxi. Now I'm a Solana maxi. Let's go Solana. No, but I mean, when you see how it goes from 2021 till today, I mean, Solana has this super meme coin narrative in 2023 and 2024, and you can think what you want about meme coin, but it managed to onboard a lot of people and mass people to crypto. And we can feel that there is a paradigm shift in Solana, because memcoin mania just went so crazy that people were like, we're not interested anymore. So maybe we are at the crossroad, saying like, woohoo, we have some utility token, we have some tokens that could change, and we have a circular economy with IP and IP NFT API product, and we want to sell in Spine token, we want to sell in IPT with molecule. So maybe there is a shift. I don't know exactly, because it's always the same. You need to have the best timing to success, but I can feel something in the air. And I'm super positive and super stoked about what is coming for the next few months.
I have no opinion on Solana.
You will the headquarters. You will see. Maybe they have some coffee. They are cool people.
So after this weekend, you're probably going to come out with the Solana cap and the Solana socks, and you're going to be ready to trade.
For sure.
Okay, I think last sort of question, which is maybe I want to give you guys the floor to connect with our audience, and hopefully after this they listen to this podcast, they have a better idea of like who you guys are, because I think that's been a massive recognition for me, is that the core team at an early stage of a DAO being created, the core team really is driving everything. I think the goal always is like true decentralization down the road. But at the beginning, you need a really strong core team, and I admire the team that you guys have set up. So I think maybe this is my opportunity to you guys to basically speak to the people who are hopefully your incoming community. What asks do you have of them? What relationship do you want to build with them?
Definitely strong human bonds as we are building with our core team. So you need to know that in the core team, you have Bassel and Virginie. They are dealing basically with spinal deformity, as I said earlier, like big surgeries, super aggressive, and we also have on the other part of the spectrum, Joseph and Guillaume. They are experts in spinal endoscopy. So it's a super minimal invasive decompression, and in my opinion, there will be the near future will be like either like this big deformity surgery with reconstruction, lumbosacral reconstruction, and this super minimal surgery with enhancement preoperatively and postoperatively. I do believe that there won't be anything in the middle. And bringing those guys together is super funny. Because we had this first contact in, I guess, what is it, Providence or Newport Beach last October between Joseph and Guillaume. And Joseph is a guy, he's from Corsica, so he has his own temper. And Bassel is from Syria, so he has his own temper. And we deal also with Virginie, biomechanical engineer. So building all this bridge with all this kind of mood is like super fascinating, super cool, and also it could be so from time to time tricky. But if we manage to have this homogeneity in our core team, if we manage to have this energy with all our surgeons, also like we come from surgery, but we need to build bridges with other spine care practitioners, and you need to know that there are some discrepancy between the philosophy of rheumatologist, pain manager, chiropractor, physio. So you have schools and super strong schools, but thinking about like, let's break the barriers, because we all human after all. So let's break the barrier between all specialty for patient good, to improve pain, to improve performance, to improve self-confidence. So it could be a good goal. It could be a good achievement.
Yeah, because and basically, like if you think about SpineDAO from a very very high level, like we have like two branches. One is like knowledge preservation, and we have a few projects. We don't need to extend about those projects, but it's like really like how do we make sure that we have access to all knowledge and we gain value from that. The other aspect is like what we call like the data branch. So and we have a few projects that we want to do with this data branch, but basically for our community, it's like if you ever publish like something about spine and you felt like your results just are dead in the manuscript and that's it, like that's where my big hope for SpineDAO is that, like, can we take like the current knowledge and support that with data and develop tools that are available for patient or for clinician at the point of care. Because that's where we usually fall short. Like collectively, like there's amazing work that has been done, like by all over the world. But how do we transform that into solution? So you go to a conference and I see people that are presenting some, let's say, some deep learning algorithm, and like, wow, this is amazing. But then, like, Or do they bring that to market? Or do they make sure that it's difficult because it's a totally different set of skill. So, and that's where I think like if everything goes well, that will be probably our biggest impact because we all know our limitation. So we know that, we can play with this data, we know we can have the clinical expertise, but then we're also partnering with either individual or startup or company that have like the knowledge, let's say from a regulatory point of view, like FDA, CE mark, or that have the knowledge on how to disseminate a solution. And that's like if you put all those bricks together, then all of a sudden, like you do your classic research, but then somebody can pick it up, or you can be involved in like so that's where like that's basically a call for the community, and whether it's Spine or something else, like we need help to develop the solution, so that like it's like more than just a set of article that most of the time nobody read until you write something that is on the same topic.
Yeah, and molecule IP-NFT and IPT system for me is the like optimal system with IPT allocation to make partnership with third parties. I mean, you say you have a token that represents the intellectual property of your project. So you can reward the work group, you can reward the people that are funding the project, you can reward all the third parties that are taking care of our regulatory process, you can reward everybody, and it's just a negotiation at the beginning of the project, saying like, well, we want to have this software that do appropriate care for appropriate time for the patient. Oh, I'm a software solution guy. Okay, come join the Spine Club, and then we speak about the allocation that you will have. We will think about the estimated value and what you want. And that's why, like tokenization of intellectual property, in my opinion, it is the only way to have a super good ambience, to incentivize all people that are in the working group, and also to secure the reward, not like to secure a fair rewarding system.
That's music to my ears. I'm of course a little bit biased.
You have an incredible team, Ella. You maybe you know that, but I mean Logan, Kevin, Raphael, Jingwei, all the guys from Molecules are like incredible. They have incredible ideas. So shout out to you, and thank you so much for helping us.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just always exciting getting together passionate and smart and interesting brains. And I think when you have that, you've got the world at your feet. You can do anything.
And also human bonds. I saw that in.
And sorry, how could I forget?
That's in DeSci London. Yeah.
You just mentioned that like 20 times today, so you cannot forget
that.
In London, I just escaped before Kevin. He tried to trap me in a club, and I was like, no, I'm a father now. I cannot.
I have to go.
Human bonds.
I said, well, don't worry. You've got Token 2049 coming up.
Yeah.
You can see how that goes. But anyway, it has been so lovely to chat to you guys. Thank you for taking some time on your Saturday to speak to me. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to keeping an eye on you guys. I think your DAO it's quite unique in comparison to some of the other DAOs that we've seen. So I'm really interested to see how it progresses as a use case. I'm very excited by it. So well done, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do.
Thank you, Ella. Thank you so much.
Bye.